In this lesson, we'll begin posing for our animation. So before we begin any animation, there are a couple of questions we want to ask in regards to the scene. So in this case, we do have a character about to pull back this crate. So one question we could ask is, how heavy is this crate he's about to pull back? Or we could even ask, how heavy is the character and how great is his strength? And since this is just a light pull, let's just say to answer those questions, we'll say that the crate object is about 60 pounds or so, more or less. And let's say the character weighs about 150 or so, and he is pretty strong, so he's going to be able to pull back this crate with ease. Also, a few things to keep in mind as far as the pull goes. The character is going to use the weight of his body as well as his leg muscles to help him pull the object back. Okay, so we're going to want to keep that in mind when it comes time to actually animating the character. Also, for his feet during the pull, it's going to be about standing position apart, maybe a little bit more than this. And as far as his back is going to stay pretty straight, but we're actually going to exaggerate that a little bit by giving it more of a C curve type of arc in the line of action. And this is just to, of course, exaggerate it. And we do want to add exaggeration in all of our animations, okay, because that's going to add not only to the appeal but also to the believability of the animation. Even if you were to do something a little bit more realistic, you may notice that if you try to basically animate to your reference, the character may look a little bit too stiff. So adding exaggeration just a little bit will help to, again, add to the believability of that certain project that you're working on. His knees, as far as they go, they're going to be bent, and his arms are going to be about the level of where he's going to be pulling from. So at about this handle here. Okay, so those are a few things we want to keep in mind in regards to animating this pull. Okay, and we do also have storyboards that we're going to go by, so let me go ahead and bring those up for you. So here we have our 6 panels that make up our scene, what we're going to be working on. And just FYI, if you don't get into or if you don't make storyboards before you begin your animation, please go ahead and do so. Get into the habit of doing so, because it's going to save you time in the end by keeping your scene organized rather than not creating those storyboards and trying to come up with it as you go. Thus spending a little bit more time than you actually need to on your idea or project. So just going through these storyboards, starting from storyboard 1, we just have the character in a casual stance getting ready to pull back on the crate. By the second storyboard, the character is now moved forward with his hands on the handle, ready to pull the crate back. And also notice the line of action in his back. It is a C curve, okay, as what we discussed before. So that's going to be pretty much the line of action throughout the entire pull. By the third storyboard, we had the character finally pulling back on the crate, and by the fourth, he's actually taken a step back now. Okay, and by the fifth, he's finally brought the crate back to its stopping mark. And then by the sixth, he's in a casual stance again, having successfully brought the crate back. So let's get back to the scene. So keeping those storyboards in mind, which are pretty much our extremes for our animation, we will now begin to pose out our character. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with the center of gravity. We could select that, and let's have him move a little bit to his right to shift his weight to give him more of a casual stance. And when wanting to pose out a character, I do recommend that you look at reference, like let's say you can go to a park, for example, and check out how people actually stand or do whatever you need for your particular animation. Reference is very helpful, and it definitely comes in handy when wanting to figure out how a correct pose should look. Okay, so we can bring the foot over a little bit. We want to make sure the character is staying balanced. Okay, and then we could go to the heel pivot and bring his foot out like that, and also his knee. We're going to want to turn that out so it's following the foot. Okay, all right, like that. Maybe bringing it in a little bit more. As far as his left foot, let's go ahead and bring it a little bit more to the left, and go to the heel pivot and bring that out some. Okay, a little bit more. Then the right foot, and we turn the right foot out. Then we'll go to the left knee and have it so that it's pointing the direction of that left foot. Then we could select the center of gravity control and bring that down a bit to give a little bend in the knees there. Again, for a casual stance. For his hips, okay, based off of his position right now, the hips are going to rotate upward to the right. Okay, so we're going to give him that type of stance, maybe down a little bit more so that right leg isn't locking up too much. So we could bring it up just a little bit more like that. So it appears to be locked, but not quite. And so this left leg has a slight bend in it. Then we could take this left leg and bring it forward slightly, and this right back a little bit. Keep the character balanced. Alright. Great, so it's looking pretty good. Now we can go ahead and begin posing out the arms. So let's go with this right arm. We'll bring it down to his side. Okay. And as far as our poses, we're going to basically pose out our character every 10 frames. Okay, on except for this first pose, it's actually going to be about 9 frames, but every other pose we're going to make about 10 frames, and this is by no means is the correct timing or the exact timing of our animation. This is just a way to help us achieve that correct timing, as we'll see. So continuing on frame 1, we'll go ahead and just rotate the hand down so that the thumb is pointed a little bit more into the body. Okay, and as far as his wrist or his arm control, let's go ahead and take that and bring that out some, like so. And then we're going to want to bring his shoulders down, so let's do that. Just go to the rotate Z, and at times you'll see me animate just these individual channels, and I do that because it's great to keep your graph editor organized rather than just using either a global or local mode and just rotating the constraint ring, possibly getting more than one value in here. If I just use these individual channels, I'll keep my graph editor clean, and which will in the end make it a lot easier for me to manipulate the keys in there rather than having a whole bunch of keys from other channels, and thus making it a little bit more confusing and tedious to edit. So let's go to the rotate Z and bring that down some. Okay, maybe even go to the rotate Y. We could go to this constraint ring here, bring it back. Okay, that's more of a gimbal mode here. And then we'll go to the back to the arm and just bring it down some so that it's a little bit straighter. Great. As far as his wrist is concerned, we can select his right wrist control, go to the fist channel, and just give his fingers a little bit more of a natural feel. Bent in a little bit, and even go to the spread and bring those in. Then we can do the same thing for his right or left arm. So let's do that. Bring it to his side. Okay, right there to his side. Then we could go into his shoulders, bring it down in the Z some, and then back in the rotate Y. Okay, and then we'll give him a bend in his wrist. Okay, by going to his wrist control, thumb pointed inward, and then we can bend his fingers. Okay, there we go, and then adjust the spread. Great. Okay, let's see where the hand is. Maybe we could bring that a little bit more forward and then up. Give it a slight bend. Then as far as the elbows go, let's bring those in a little bit more. Great. Then we want to go ahead and give the back a little bit more of a bend. So we could go ahead and bring his back control back a little bit more, and then his chest forward some. Excellent. As far as his head, we could just bring that up in the X. Like that. Okay. So with these things done, we have our first pose. And that does finish off this lesson, and in the next lesson we'll just continue on posing our character based off of our storyboards.